Journalist Mehdi Hasan has a new show over at NBC, and it appears he's trying to get himself fired. Take a look.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you don't have any regrets. You never have apologized for the Iraq War, unlike a lot of other former supporters of it like Joe Biden. So what I'm wondering is, all those thousands of people who died in Iraq, all of those innocent Iraqi civilians, men, women, children, killed by US airstrikes, some of them in massacres at Haditha, Mahmudiyah, Balad, none of those weigh on your conscience? None of those deaths ever keep you up at night?
You don't know what you're talking about. The Iraq War, which was the period that lasted about 4 weeks, and resulted in the overthrow of Saddam Hussein, was a brilliant military victory by the United States and other coalition forces. And that, the removal of Saddam Hussein from power, was the right idea at the time, and it's true today. So people talk about the Iraq War as though it started in 2003 and lasted until 2011 when Obama withdrew everybody, as if every single decision in that 8-year period followed inevitably, unalterably, from the single decision to invade in 2003. And that's simply not right.
All right, so that first question, that was awesome. Now, John Bolton's question, of course, and he's going to continue to say that, oh, what are you talking about? All this stuff that led to the invasion of Iraq couldn't have possibly been our fault. Yeah, it was. You invaded Iraq, which then led to the occupation, which then led to all of this other stuff that's happening. That's a ridiculous notion. John Bolton still not defending, or still defending his decision to support the Iraq War. I mean, that's amazing. Well, what are you talking about? It was a brilliant military strategy, which led to innumerable deaths of Iraqi citizens and war crimes and CIA torture black sites. And it is amazing, too, by the way, going back to Mehdi Hasan here, he's like, Joe Biden supported it, and then he had to go back on it. Why didn't you? I mean, the balls that it takes to do that. I love it. And so, obviously, John Bolton, not prepared for that one. But here's the thing that frustrates me about John Bolton on media appearances, right? Aside from this, Bolton always seems to get treated with kids' gloves because he's somebody who's gone up against Donald Trump. And so, I mean, MSNBC, for example, always given John Bolton some pretty prime speaking engagements, getting a free pass because, again, he is anti-Trump. Well, not anymore. Look, I doubt he's going to go on Hasan's show over again, which is fine by me, because at the end of the day, he's a war criminal. But I've got more here because there's plenty more where where Mehdi Hasan challenges him, and I love it. Take a look.
You say it's simply not right, but the reality is hundreds of thousands of Iraqis died. There was torture, millions of refugees, and that did follow from the decision by George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and others in the administration like yourself to invade Iraq. Hundreds of thousands of people died, and just to go back to my question, which you didn't answer, do those deaths never weigh on your conscience, was my question, which you didn't answer.
No, I did answer it, and I'll answer it again since you didn't seem to listen to it. The fact was, after the overthrow of Saddam Hussein, a number of decisions could have been made in different ways. But to lay what happened in Iraq on the single decision to overthrow Saddam Hussein is historically completely wrong.
But no one's doing that. They're pointing to the war and the invasion and the occupation. You're trying to disconnect the occupation. With respect, John Bolton, you weren't a pundit on Fox News then. You were in government. I don't remember you quitting in objection to the occupation. And the fact is that occupation, let me just finish my question and you come back in. That occupation produced thousands of dead, torture, refugees. I just wonder, do you ever worry that, people have tried to do citizens arrests on you in the past. Do you ever worry you may have to face a court to answer for that war and that occupation, for the war crimes that happened back then?
Of course not, because what you're saying is completely ludicrous. And those who made those kinds of criticisms are not reflecting what actually happened. I'm not trying to duck the issue, but you're making a grievous factual error when you attribute everything that came after the overthrow of Saddam to the U.S. decision to do that.
Let me just ask you that question one more time. You keep saying I'm not listening to you, but I've asked twice. I'll ask you one third time, because I want to talk about Iran and the nuclear deal. I know you have strong views there. Very quickly on Iraq, you have no regrets about the thousands of Iraqis who died in Iraq after the invasion. They never bother you, never keep you up at night, never weigh on your conscience.
I didn't say that at all. And what I'm saying is that the actual casualties in the overthrow of Saddam Hussein...
I understand that, but you're still not answering the question. It's a very simple question, yes or no. Do they weigh on your conscience?
Because it's not, because you cannot attribute it causally to the U.S. invasion simply because
so they
it happened
don't.
later.
That ending, though. So they don't. Yeah, it's pretty obvious the way that he was dodging that question. They don't affect him at all. John Bolton doesn't give a goddamn about all the innocent Iraqis he killed. And later on, of course, in that interview, it's about 16 minutes long, Bolton then goes on to say, it's all Iran's fault. Oh, yeah, okay. It's all Iran's fault. They're training Sharia militia. What are you going to do? It's all Iran's fault. Maybe we should invade Iran. That's who John Bolton is. He's never met a war he didn't like, and he will never, ever apologize for the actual war crimes. Now, why do I say then Mehdi Hassan's getting fired? Well, that's a little bit of a joke. And it goes back to how, cable news media has traditionally treated anti-war voices. Phil Donahue, great example, got fired for criticizing the Iraq War. You had numerous people on numerous cable news networks getting fired or getting reprimanded for bringing up these war crimes. And so this is important because if Mehdi Hassan is able to go and to challenge people that like John Bolton and Mike Pompeo for their involvement in these conflicts and into the killings of innocent people through the Iraq War, then we've actually turned a corner on media, them actually being able to do so. Now, if he's not and he loses the show, we'll know that legacy media still will not hold people accountable for these wars. And so it is a kind of an important moment. Whether or not, whatever happens, it's still pretty great to see Mehdi Hassan. If he's going to run this kind of show, then and challenging people, and I hope he challenges Democrats as well, then I think it's going to be a pretty damn good show, and I'm going to keep my eye on it, and we'll see what happens. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.